Hi, my name is Rebecca Elder, and I'm a preservation consultant that works with local history organizations. And today I'm going to show you how to encapsulate a document. Encapsulation is something you can do if you have a document that is handled frequently but you need to protect. It involves enclosing it between two pieces of mylar, polyester film. You want to think carefully about when you encapsulate, because encapsulation doesn't allow the acids that form in deteriorating paper to escape. So if you encapsulate something that's in poor condition, you may actually speed up the deterioration process. So I encapsulate things that are in good condition that need to be protected because they're handled frequently, or I encapsulate things that are so brittle that I can't touch them without doing more damage. Because at that point, I think that there's so much damage done that the little bit more damage that you can do by encapsulating isn't going to be a problem. So let's talk about what we need. First of all, in terms of tools, you need a cutting mat or something to cut on, a break-off knife or a scalpel, a bone folder, a ruler, and if it's a cork-backed ruler, make sure you cut with the cork side up so that you don't transfer any smudges to anything, and a weight. You can buy weights, but they're really expensive. I tend to make mine. This was a box that I bought for $1 at a craft store, and I filled it up with BBs, which are really cheap, and crazy glued the lid on. It's a fantastic weight, and it cost $1 or $2. For materials, you need polyester film. Mylar is a trade name for polyester, and in the preservation industry, you'll hear people saying mylar, polyester interchangeably. And you'll need 3M number 415 double-sided tape in a minute. I'm just going to go ahead and encapsulate this little piece of paper. I've cut two pieces of mylar that are larger than my object, and I'm just going to put one in the middle, put the object in the middle of one of them, and put a weight on it so that everything stays in place. Then I'm going to grab my tape. This tape is very, very sticky on the outside edges, so you never want to put it down on your work surface. You always want to keep it in a plastic bag, store it on a piece of silicone release paper, something like that, so that you don't get any fuzzies picked up by the sticky on the edge of the tape, because you'll see that on your encapsulation, and it won't be damaging, but it will look less attractive than you would like it to look. This is fast and easy. I start out by going about 1/4 of an inch from my object and putting down 4 pieces of tape. And what I'm going to try to do here is leave about 1/4 of an inch of room of separation between the two edges of my tape so that there is an air hole for the document. And I'm putting it this far out because there's a chance the document may shift a little bit. So if we give ourselves that 1/4 of an inch, it means there's less of a chance of the object running into the tape. There are other ways to do it if you want to get fancy. You can get some heavyweight thread and run it along the sides of the tape. But this is really basic and it works for most purposes. So now I have my object. I have my tape on all 4 sides of it. I'm going to take my bone folder and just burnish. I'm using a pretty good amount of pressure here to make sure that my tape is super stuck down. Then I'm going to pick up my weight, take my next piece of mylar and put it down right on top of it. The beauty of cutting pieces of Mylar that are a little bit too big is that I don't have to worry about everything aligning perfectly right now. I can trim it when I finish and get the look that I want. And then this is the hardest part of the whole operation. I'm going to pick up my Mylar. I tend to do this one corner at a time. That works for me. So I'm going to peel up this, and I'm going to peel up this, and drop that back in place. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. You have your weight holding everything in place, so it shouldn't be shifting around on you. Perfect. And I'll take my folder and squeegee this down a little. I'm going to, as I'm doing that, I'm going to try to work out any air bubbles that are forming. But I think I have this nice and flat. And you end up with a package that looks like that. So it's not perfect around the edges by a long shot, but I can fix that now with my ruler and my break-off knife. Again, I'm just going to go about 1/4 of an inch outside the tape now, and I can use the lines on my cutting mat to help me figure out about where it should go. So when you're cutting, make sure your blade is fresh, and it's easier to use light strokes. See, I should have taken one more pass at that. I was a little overconfident. But if you use light strokes, a couple light strokes, it'll work much better than trying to do one heavy stroke. See, I just proved that. That's better. And I'll just move all the way around. And the lines on your cutting mat will help you make sure that you get nice right angles at the corners. Because if you're going to the trouble to do this much work for something, you might as well make it look as pretty as you can. If you have a little more money and a little more equipment, you can get a good quality cutter like a cut trimmer, or you can even invest in a board shear, which will make this part go a whole lot faster. But for most places with low budgets, a knife will work just fine. Just going to line the corners up. One more cut, that ought to do it. Fantastic. So now we're here. The last thing I do is trim off these corners because they're kind of sharp and pokey. And if you're putting this in a folder with something else that's brittle, those pokey corners might poke into it and do a little damage. Again, if you're going to make an investment, you could get a corner rounder and just put this in the corner rounder. But knocking off the corners just the tiniest bit, like maybe 1/4 of an inch, will do the exact same thing. And that's only 4 quick cuts. And there you go, a completed encapsulation.